government should have a strong role in a country, but not so strong as to avoid enlightenment in human values. For example, the government helped more of its citizens with things such as the New Deal, in which every type of person was cared for. A fascist government cares more about the state's power than feelings of an individual. This led to chaos among many people. Having a strong government that still supports its people would be a good way a country should have a leader. The three main causes of the Great Depression were that big industries were in trouble and farmers were not getting as much work. There was an income gap between rich and poor, and dreams for quick riches soon led to failure because people bought on credit. People lost their jobs, got evicted from their houses because they couldn't afford them, and lived on the streets. Some people turned down help to keep their pride. Banks and businesses failed, and millions of workers were fired. The Great Depression became global when the U.S.'s economy collapsed. America took back all their loans from European banks, which caused world trade to decrease. Countries during the Depression had different responses. Britain created high tariffs, increased their tax, and made sure the money's currency stayed consistent. France increased workers' money and benefits. Unlike Britain, Germany printed more and more money to cause inflation. America had a system of voting for the people. Japan was hit badly by the Depression. The people started mistrusting its government and turned to war for answers. FDR created the New Deal to help many people during the Depression. Even though it helped people get jobs, created health care, secure their money, and improve their lives, the goal of what it was really meant to do was not met. It didn't directly lead the U.S. out of the Depression and added to all the debt the country had. Many Axis forces were mad at the Treaty of Versailles, and it became one of the main causes of World War II. Germany, Japan, and Italy all hated the treaty because it went against their beliefs as well as made their countries weaker. The Allies joined World War II after learning about the fascist aggression in Europe and Asia. In World War I, we joined because our enemies were using too much violence against innocent people. We joined World War II because of the same reason. Throughout World War II, there were many land and sea battles between Axis and Allied powers. New war techniques were invented, including the Blitzkrieg, devised by Germans to air raid whole cities, destroying everything and everyone to get what they want. If it wasn't for the new technological advancements, the technique couldn't have worked. The U.S. went from being in isolation to being a trading partner with Allied forces to full participation in World War II. First, the U.S. passed neutrality acts 3 years straight from joining the war. The Atlantic Charter and the Lend-Lease Act were both two documents that helped draw the U.S. into war further because they both allowed the U.S. to participate in the war efforts more than they had. Some people were offered new opportunities during the war, while after the war, some minorities were mistrusted. Factories and companies started increasing production in war supplies as well as people. There was propaganda encouraging people not to waste materials and help out with the war as much as they could. During the war, more groups of people were involved. Over 1 million African Americans helped in World War II, although in their own units. Not all groups were offered the same opportunities. There was extreme racism and fear against Japanese Americans, which led to the creation of internment camps where some were placed. The U.S. wanted to finally drop the bombs because Japan wasn't giving up. Japan's leaders weren't taking into account their people, only the greatness of their country. They brainwashed their own people into thinking everyone but they, especially the U.S., were terrible. When Hitler came to power, his goal was to get rid of all the Jews because they were his enemies. The Holocaust, as it was later called, was a time when over 6 million Jews were killed, as well as other people Hitler thought to be imperfect. The Jews were put in concentration camps such as the Auschwitz, where they were treated in unimaginable ways that resulted in death. After the world started finding out, there were things such as Nuremberg trials to make Germany pay for what they did. The Jews were given Israel as a gift for the suffering they went through. This started more arguments because the Palestinians thought the land was taken from them. After the war, there were precautions to prevent the war again, such as the United Nations. The plan didn't fully play out and more tensions grew to what people thought was going to be a World War III. This resulted in the Cold War that would last another 45 years.